All right, so welcome to this edition of Baptized in Blood here on MetalMessiahRadio.com. Today I've got a guest with me, Chris from Vattnet Viskar. Welcome to the show, Chris.
How's it going, Jonathan?
It's going great.
Excellent.
First, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing the band's name correctly as
Yes.
Vattnet Viskar.
Yeah. That's as close as we get. I think Swedish is the Swedes pronounce it better, but for the American version, yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Okay. So, give me a little bit of history of the band and how you got your name.
We started in 2010. The singer and I, Nick, we just started emailing guitar riffs back and forth, and we had played in other bands together for years, but just kind of slowly worked our way into liking more like extreme metal and black metal stuff. So we just started kind of just writing stuff, and eventually we just got some other guys to play some shows, and we didn't really think it was going to get much further than that. So we had this idea for a song idea about how like water, a body of water, which would be like kind of spiritual or something, was calling people to it, to like commit suicide. And
Right.
some like cool metal idea, and we looked up, the water is whispering in Swedish because we liked a lot of Swedish metal bands, and we wanted a cool band name or whatever. So it came out to be Vattnet Viskar, so it was kind of cool. So we just kind of kept it, and then we just ended up using it as a band name, and it's kind of stuck ever since, even though no one can pronounce it.
I don't think it's that difficult to pronounce like some black metal bands are.
Yeah. I see some, and I'm like, what does that even say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys have I believe it's your debut record coming out September the 3rd via Century Media Records called Sky Swallower.
Yep.
That's awesome. If you
Yeah.
could tell us a little bit about the musical influences, lyrical influences, and the writing process for this album.
We listen to a lot of different types of music, especially like individually. Seamus, our drummer, is really into a lot of hardcore, and he listens to a lot of like Gojira type stuff. Nick and I listen to pretty much the same black metal. We listen to like a lot of Panopticon, or I'm trying to think of what else. Like a lot of like Emperor and kind of the older stuff. But we really didn't want to be like just a black metal band, for all intents and purposes, because it's not really our personality. We don't really worship Satan or anything cool like
Right.
that. We're kind of just a bunch of guys that like to tour and play music. So we uh we kind of just went in a different direction and trying to do our own thing and seeing if people like it. And we've been getting a really good response so far. So a lot of different influences on that. From black metal to ISIS and Neurosis, and more kind of industrial sounds too, which is kind of cool. And we're really stoked to work with Century Media for our debut full length. That's not something everybody gets to say. So
Right.
yeah, we're pretty stoked on all that. And it just comes out September 3rd, and we just want to hit the road and try to get as many shows in the next year as we possibly can, and do it all over again next year, hopefully.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, hell
And
yeah.
currently, the upcoming tour you guys are doing a few shows with the band Intronaut
Yeah.
and whatnot. Talk about that tour a little bit.
We're like so excited to be able to tour with them. Nick and I have been huge Intronaut fans for a really long time, and the second we signed to Century, I realized that I could email somebody and say, hey, I think there's a Century band on this show. You think you can get me some passes? And they do it every time. So every time Intronaut came through, Nick and I would go down and see them, and I think they probably just got sick of us coming to see them, play, and just finally accepted us to, support them on some headlining dates. So they're going out with, I think, Catatonia and Culta Luna,
Yeah, they
and
are.
they're just working their way west to meet up with that tour. So I think they're going, full kind of European black metal type stuff for this run. So I think they chose us just to keep that consistent. And yeah, it's gonna be really cool. We're
Yeah.
doing we're starting in Arizona with them, and just working our way back east, and ended up in New York. And then we'll do it all over again. Hopefully, get on a few other tours after that. So
Nice. As you said, a few extra tours. I was wondering if I think it's like eight, nine dates maybe with Intronaut. Are there any future tours that you can talk about that you're planning to do?
we're just basically submitting to other tours that are being booked right now, which is a kind of stupid process, and it kind of sucks. But Um, it used to be easier to just go out with your friends and book a tour and have a good time, but now there's a lot of politics involved. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of opportunities coming up that haven't really been announced yet. So hopefully there'll be something pretty soon after September 22nd. Hopefully we can just get back on the road,
Yeah.
but I don't have any specific info yet, unfortunately.
Uh,
We want to tour about probably like 8 months out of this next year. So
oh, that'll be great.
yeah, I mean, why else do you play music if you're not going to
Exactly.
live, you know?
It'll be great if on the next tour you guys can make it to Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where I'll be for a
Oh,
while
perfect.
anyway.
Yeah.
So if you guys make it there, I'll come out and see you.
Yeah, we've played Nashville a few times because Nick's brother lives there, so
Oh,
we
okay.
always try to hit Tennessee.
Yeah.
I know Knoxville's kind of on the other side though, isn't it?
It's I don't know. It's like 4 or 5 hours away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sucks.
But
Dang.
yeah. But I'm gonna go back to another question with the lyrical influences. When I was reading through them, I noticed it's not. You guys said you're not really the whole Satanist black metal thing, but you have your roots in the black metal music.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
some of your lyrics, like in New Alchemy, I see some like nature references to some things. Talk a little about that kind of lyrical style that you guys chose.
Yeah, I think I mean Nick writes all the lyrics, so my interpretation of them is kind of what I've gotten out of them for content. But the whole idea of the whole album and kind of the idea of our band is more along the lines of kind of more the instead of being angry at Christianity, we're kind of just angry at humanity for just
Okay.
just the terribleness that we kind of see every day.
Right.
So I think that it's and I think when he was referencing nature, he's also referencing our environment as a whole, like just as people. And we take a lot of flack for not being like true cult black metal, but I think that we get angry about certain situations in our American culture that really get us down, and it's I think it's the same energy and the same level of anger that I think the Norwegians might have been feeling towards Christian churches being built on their what they considered holy land.
Right.
And I think that his lyrics are more just attacking how our lifestyle basically ruins our planet and ruins us as people because
Right.
he's a guy that lives in the kind of middle of nowhere a little bit and has like a little farm and tries to depend on himself for as much as he can. So
Yeah.
Nick's a little bit different than the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not about being the true cult black metal or anything. If it's great music, people should go out and support it, whether it sounds like Dark Throne or has the.
Absolutely. I just support music, man.
Yeah, I know it's great stuff regardless.
Well, thank you very much. I really
Yes,
appreciate
and I
that.
enjoyed the album anyway. So
Hell yeah.
yeah. So if you could, this is a fun question that I like to ask people. But if you could, tell us kind of about a day in the lives of the band members.
On tour, a day in the life of a band member would be just sitting in a van driving 8 hours to whatever show you are going to. Off tour, it's basically, I mean, just boredom or working. It's actually a lot of downtime to be in a band, especially on tour, because aside from like the half hour or maybe even 40-minute set you might get, the rest of it is just kind of waiting around.
Right.
So when you're driving, you're waiting to get to the show, and then you get to the show, and then you're waiting for the promoter so you can load in. Then you load in, then you're waiting to play, and then you play, and then you're waiting to leave. So it's a lot of waiting. So as long as you can keep your mind occupied,
Yeah.
then you can do okay.
Yeah.
But it's better than working 9 to 5, I guess, for
Yeah,
sure.
I know a lot of bands that were on the Mayhem Fest that just recently ended to kill time on tour when everybody left the lot for the opening stage bands. They play like softball and whatnot
Well,
until
yeah, yeah. I mean, we would just what we do is just generally like load in, and then we'll go walk around wherever we are because, I mean, people will say, "Oh, Chris, you've been to Louisville, Kentucky. What's that like?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I drove there. We got to a venue, and then we played, and then we left. Like I could tell you what it looks like from inside a van, but it's cool to be able on like especially on the tours like the Intronaut stuff to be able to like load in really early and then
right.
kind of leave, and then you can kind of feel more like a human being, but you still feel bad for not pay attention to
Yeah.
your bands, or you got to make sure you get your own personal time in, and
Mhm.
then make sure you show your face so that you don't look like a jerk.
Right, right. So tell us a little bit what inspired you to pick up an instrument and start playing and to do the music that you're doing and perform for people?
Metallica. That would be it.
Great band.
Honest to God, when I was 12 years old, my my parents and I were moving to a new house, and we got to this house. It was really weird. It had a lot of like, had like a big like I don't know wooden snake in the foyer area. It was just this really weird house, and I found this Metallica Ride the Lightning tape, and I had never seen anything like it. And I put it in, and immediately fell in love. And I think I only listened to Metallica for like I don't know 3 years. Like legit, only listened to Metallica. Would not listen to anything
Oh
else. I didn't
wow.
know about Slayer or Megadeth or anything. And eventually one day I just was like, I want to play guitar, and I got a guitar for Christmas, and I just started playing guitar for like 7 hours a day until I was probably 18 years old. I was just a total
Oh,
guitar nerd.
nice.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a complete like completely fell in love with it, and I haven't not played guitar every day ever since. And
Yeah.
it's just weird. It's weird how something comes into your life like that, but
Oh
I thank
yeah.
God for it.
I love it. I wish I could practice guitar that much, but being in graduate school, there's so much limited time that I've got to
Oh
do
yeah, yeah.
junk and
I mean,
whatnot.
I got a bachelor's degree, and my whole time I just sitting there studying, I would just like, play stupid chords all day.
Oh,
But
nice. That's
you
what I'm
know,
going to start
I didn't
doing
get
now.
good grades, so
Yeah, I'm just going to start doing that now. It makes
yeah,
perfect,
yeah.
perfect
Try it out.
sense.
Your grades might go down though, so watch it.
Can't afford that really,
Stop listening to that metal.
but exactly. So, do you guys have any kind of pre-performance routines or rituals that you go through right before you go on stage?
I'm trying to think. I mean, Nick usually has like he has to drink an IPA before he plays, which is a specific beer. But it's not in the way that he's like, "Where's my IPA?" He's just like, "I gotta get an IPA." So he'll go to the bar and get a specific beer for his voice. He claims. For me, and I just usually I don't I just usually go into a bathroom and change into whatever shirt I play in every night that smells awful, and I usually just kind of stare at myself in the mirror for a second, and then you just walk out. And that's it. I mean, it's the shows we play generally aren't those huge shows,
Right,
festival shows yet. So it's
right.
usually just like put your stuff on stage and play.
Oh,
That's usually what it
yeah.
is.
Well, the reason I go into is because I work with some athletes with the psychological aspect of their performance and whatnot,
hmm
and I also like to take that into the music context and see what musicians like to do with things like motivation and goal setting and whatnot. So, how does
Yeah, I mean, I think that to answer your question probably more correctly, that like that time where I kind of get into it is actually right before we start playing once we're on stage,
uh
because we generally usually start with just a lot of feedback and noise
right?
from the guitars. So it's that's usually where I actually have some sort of ritual where I'll like close my eyes and try and you know forget the rest of the day and just be like for the next half an hour I'm going to just try to do whatever I can to make this the best performance possible.
Right.
So I guess it's more once you like put your guitar on
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like, okay, we're starting. That's
Right.
where it really just begins, I guess.
Okay. That makes sense. A lot
Yeah.
of athletes like to do that too, but like listening to music or anything along that line. So, if you could, maybe if you could from a fan's perspective or even from your own perspective playing on stage, what is a show like, the atmosphere of a show like with you guys?
It's a wall of noise, pretty constant. We try to keep pretty true to our recordings. Live, we do venture off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere is usually just is a lot of highs and lows. So the loud parts are really loud. We pride ourselves on being as loud as possible. But when we play quiet parts live, we play them as quietly and for as long or longer as they are on the CD. So
Uh,
I think that it's more of a when people watch us, it has to be in the right setting because we've played a few shows where it's more like mosh type bands and they kind of just stared at us. But we want like a more setting where people are you know it would be best if they already knew who we were, but
right.
you can't always ask
Right.
for that sometimes. But you want people to know what they're getting into and know that it's going to be kind of like a ride because what we've been doing is just playing the whole album live from start to finish, which
Oh,
has
okay.
been really great. So it's kind of like it's just a really emotional performance. It's not hardcore, tough or
Right.
anything at all. We're
Right.
not tough whatsoever. It's just us playing our instruments and getting into it as much as we possibly can.
That's cool. So on the album, I think there's five actual songs and there's like three shorter interlude type songs that lead into the next track a little bit.
Hmm.
What what had you guys want to write those kind of short interludes for the album? Because that's very unique, I think, for an album.
Yeah, I mean we listen to a lot of bands like Russian Circles or Explosions in the Sky, which are like more post rock bands, which are extremely instrumental.
Right.
Uh, and in their songs, a lot of those types of bands will have um, kind of like a beginning that's part of that specific song, but will go on for like 4 minutes, and
Right.
you could count it as an interlude, but whatever. I think we tried to take a lot from that scene, and try and put it into what we were trying to do, just because it hadn't really been done before. And a lot of the times you get these black metal CDs, and you can always look at like the first track, and you're like, okay, the first track's gonna be like a minute and 3 seconds of either a church organ or some sort of nature sound with some intro. So we didn't want to
Yeah.
do that. So we kind of made it more like the record just starts full on full blast, and then the interludes and stuff kind of make it go up and down in the middle, as opposed to just the beginning and the end. So I think we wrote them, for that effect, for the
Okay.
dynamic, the dynamics in the music type aspect, which I
Okay.
think it worked.
Yeah, I think it did too. It was great.
Yeah,
If
thank you, man.
if you could choose one song from the album that you would count as your favorite that you wrote, which one would that be?
Oh man, this changes every week, to be honest with you. Um, I would probably say my favorite song on there is probably Fog of Apathy, which is the second track.
Yes.
The whole middle clean guitar part we wrote, or I wrote, right in the studio, like while we were just messing around,
Hmm.
and it wasn't even really supposed to be on there. And it was the song where that we both, both Nick and I looked at each other and was like, this doesn't sound like anything we've ever done before. So I mean, it's the one where we probably took the biggest chance on. And I mean, I think it came out good. I'm just shocked every time people say that that's their favorite song on the album, because to me it's just so like cut and paste together, um, that it just came together so weird. But and in the end result, I guess, came out pretty
Oh
good.
yes.
So
Well,
that's definitely my favorite, most proud of song.
yes, it's certainly a great song, as are all the songs on the album.
Oh, thank you, man.
So this will be, I guess, the last question. If you could tell everybody why you should come out and support Vattnet Viskar on tour.
You should go out and support any band on tour. Why you should support us? Just because we want to work hard, and we want to go as far and as big as we possibly can. And I just think that people should go to shows again,
Yes.
and not rely on the internet, and not rely on
Right.
YouTube to show them what a band looks like live, because it's not the same anymore.
Right.
Um, so I think it's more, my diatribe would be more like, go to shows. If you can't make it out to our specific show, go to another show later in the week, or pick between a few shows, and go to one, because it's a dying trend, unfortunately, in the States. and
It is.
and it's pretty sad, in my opinion, because like live music is something that I cherish.
Yes.
And I think everybody should get back into it, and go out, get off your couch, get off the computer, and go outside. Just live your
Exactly.
life a little bit.
Becoming couch potatoes, just
Yeah,
sitting in your room all day doing nothing.
yeah, it sucks.
It
I do
does.
that, man.
I can't do it. I got to get up and do stuff.
Ah, you're lucky.
Yeah. And along the same lines, what do you think about the? Well, I probably already know your opinion, but the illegal downloading of music instead of buying the CD or from iTunes or something like that.
This is something I struggle with this every day of my life, because I am an illegal downloader, and I
Yeah.
used to be a terrible illegal downloader, like to the point where I had like probably like 500 gigabytes of just
Oh
illegal
wow.
music, and I deleted it all one day, and I just said, I'm only going to keep what I have bought.
Right.
So I did that, and um, I think that I think it was just a time in our existence, and a point that existed on the internet that will just kind of go away slowly. So I mean, I think it's just I can't really
choose, man, because it's like one side of you as a small artist, you want everybody to hear your music, and however they hear it, that's great, as long as they heard it and they like it.
Right.
On the other side, it's like, well, I can't call my cell phone company and say, like, I can't pay my bill because, I didn't sell any records or whatever. But 1,000 people illegally downloaded it last week. So does that help?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so weird. I think that there just needs to be a happy medium where, I think that things like Spotify and stuff like that is really the next level.
Right.
They don't pay their artists anything on per play, but I think that that's a good compromise for ease of
Yeah.
access to music as opposed to, just illegally downloading
Right.
it. At least you're getting, half a penny out of a play instead of nothing.
Right.
So
Well, with Spotify and everything, that gives me a good thing to go listen to the music, and if I like it, then I'll go buy the CD.
yeah, I mean, what I do is I have Spotify, and whatever I like, I collect a lot of vinyl, so I'll just go buy the vinyl.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times the vinyl will come with a download code anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you like something, I mean, go buy it and then listen to it on Spotify too, and just give us more money. That's all.
Exactly. Well, anyway, that's really all I had for you, Chris.
Awesome, man. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
So
it, man.
I appreciate you taking some time to join me and talk today and everything.
Oh, no problem, dude.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, if you could stay on the line for just a couple minutes after I'm done.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. That was Chris from the band Vattnet Viskar. You can get their debut record, Sky Swallower, via Century Media Records on September 3rd. Go out and buy it. And now, back to the music.